Well, I'm at the market today. You can see the market here, and having a good day. Some good entertainers here, if I can show you in the background, singing some great music. And I thought, what a great day to expose some corruption. So I'm going to talk about a few things that you might like to know about, and why I've chosen right now, I suppose, why not? Would it be interesting to know why everybody's leaving Parliament? Have you noticed that all the members of Parliament are leaving this year? Oh, for family reasons. Nothing corrupt, is there? Would it be because the members of Parliament, if they stay on one more term, won't get as much money? Are you aware of that? 2015, there were some changes that made it impossible for them to stay on, because they stay on for a little bit longer, they can't retire for another 10 years, and they'll retire on about half the pension they would have normally got. I won't list all of those amounts and all the details. I'll allow you to decide yourself, do a bit of research yourself, but these guys are leaving for a reason. They're leaving for two reasons. Two reasons. One reason they're leaving is they leave with a massive pension if they leave this year, because they were elected at a certain time and certain changes have been made, and if they stay on they won't get it. The other is because most of them are sitting illegally in Parliament. Were you aware of that? How many? Well, if you go back through our history the last 30 or 40 years, you'll find probably 60 or 70% of the members of Parliament sat illegally in Parliament under Section 44. Now, Section 44, if you don't understand it, is when you go to run for Parliament, you get a piece of paper stuffed in front of you before you nominate, and you sign a declaration that you can legally sit in Parliament if you're elected, and it mentions that you mustn't be in breach of Section 44. Now, you know, for some little player that's never been in Parliament before, it's possible they wouldn't know that, but believe it or not, these blokes have all got lawyers and legal teams. They're from major political parties, so they were well aware. So what they did, basically, if you want to understand, is they lied to be elected. They knew they lied, they just didn't think anyone would catch them out. And so when they got caught, in 2016 and earlier, I started putting petitions in, and I put in notices to make sure these guys are aware they couldn't sit in Parliament. Isn't that interesting? And nothing got done. And in 2016, I asked for an inquiry, and I put information forward to the Electoral Commissioner saying that not only were people being elected, and had been for years, that shouldn't sit in Parliament, but what was even worse, that some of these people ran in the elections not to win, but just to give preferences over to major parties. So those preferences shouldn't have been handed over, but there's some other problems. You see, if you lie on a nomination form to be elected to Parliament, it's actually a crime under the Crimes Act. Indictable crime. Keep that in mind for a moment. So you get found out for sitting in Parliament illegally, and you then get sacked by the High Court, and what should happen from there? You should be charged with a crime. So let's imagine this. They get charged with a crime, which they should be. It's actually a breach of the law. The fact is that they've been paid a wage the whole time they were in Parliament illegally. So they should have had to pay that back. Secondly, if they were charged with a crime, as they so rightfully should have been, then they couldn't re-run for the same seat again, because you can't run for a seat of Parliament if you're under charges of indictable crime. They use this against the minor players, including me, all the time. Press fake charges against you, make sure you can't run for an election, drop the charges later. Well, these blokes are under charges. Now, there's another second problem. What they haven't looked at is Section 64 of the Constitution. Section 64 of the Constitution is really clear. It says you cannot make decisions in Parliament unless you're a minister. So all of these people have sat in Parliament, made decisions. And in some cases, I believe it's 60 or 70% of the parliamentarians have made decisions, and all of those decisions, all those things they voted on, are invalid. Are you getting where I'm coming from? So you have a whole lot of people sitting in Parliament illegally making decisions for this country, getting a massive pension. Pension. What about all the ones that didn't get caught out? What about all the ones that go back 20 or 30 years that were in breach of Section 44. Are they getting a cosy pension for life? Yes, they are. Should they have? No. Should they have ever voted on something to do with this country? No. So why are all these MPs abandoning Parliament now? Because you will find later in life, when it's a bit too late, that many of them are in breach of Section 64. Now, why would parliamentarians want to have joint citizenship, be able to leave the country? Now, if you're getting a $200 and something thousand pension and you move to another country and the pension is paid there, how much tax do you pay in Australia? Do I need to tell you the answer to that? So we have a government that most of the ministers, if not a majority, I say more than a majority, lied to be elected, received an income, voted on legislation where they had no right to do it, got caught, never got charged, never paid the money back, and still maintain a pension. They shouldn't get those pensions. So what do we need here? We need an international inquiry. It's no use having an inquiry at state level or federal level because they own everything. They appoint the judges, they own all the government departments, they control the police operations. We need an international inquiry immediately. We need to find out how many parliamentarians in the last years shouldn't have sat. We need to sack them. We want to ask for our money back. We want to stop paying them a pension. And we want every piece of legislation they voted on illegally invalidated. And we need to start again. And what a good time to do that. Because I think we're all sick of the fact that they control electoral law. They rig the system. They've been caught playing with elections and the outcomes of elections and intercepting postal ballot applications and all sorts of things for a long, long time. So here's a chance. Ask some questions. Ask your minister in your area, is he legally elected? And ask those ones that were kicked out, why weren't they charged? And if it is the case now you can lie on application forms and deceive the parliament and deceive the people and steal their money and make decisions invalidly and not get charged and get to keep a pension, does that mean that every one of us has ever made a mistake in our lives or deliberately defrauded the government or have cheated or committed a crime should get to keep the proceeds of our crime? I don't think so. I don't think they should either. So there's some food for thought for the day. Over the next few days I'll start publishing all the people in Parliament that are sitting there illegally. I'll mention all the ones that have quit and then got to come straight back, and we'll start looking at the pensions they're going to keep for the rest of their lives. $200,000 a year for the rest of their lives for being a fucking crook. Is that acceptable to you? I don't think so. Food for thought for the day.